What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck profile on my Gizmex. Now, Gizmex is a deck that actually become its own archetype in Dawn of Majesty. So I figured I'd actually do a deck profile on it, and it's actually a pretty fun deck, and it can do some really cool things. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, I run the 3 Gizmek Inaba. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense. That's sort of like the gimmick for the deck, is that they do things with the monsters that have the same attack and defense. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a machine monster you control whose attack equals its own defense this turn. You cannot declare an attack except with that monster. Also, its attack and defense become combined original attack of all machine monsters you currently control. This deck definitely can OTK if it needs to, because some of the Gizmeks actually have a pretty high attack. I run 3 Arakami. Arakami, if you control a machine monster whose attack equals its own defense, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target one machine monster you control whose attack equals its own defense, and send one machine monster from your deck to the graveyard whose attack equals its own defense, with a lower level. So it's a Foolish Burial and a free summon, both in one. And all the lower level Gizmeks have effect to where they can banish and do something in the graveyard, so even if you're just sending the level 1, there's still a lot you can do. I also run the 2 Naganaki. You trigger one machine monster whose attack equals its own attack and defense. Special summon one from your deck, one machine monster whose attack equals its own defense with a lower level than the treated monster. So you can use that for basically any of the Gizmeks, and you don't have to tribute the Naganaki. You can tribute your Makami, you can tribute any of these, and a couple of the Gizmeks has its effect when they're special summons that can be used to extend. I also run the 3 Gizmek Taniguchi. When this card is normal special summon, you can take one machine monster's attack equals its own defense and place it on top of your deck, and you can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon basically one of your Gizmeks or any machine monster whose attack equals its own defense, which I don't think there's a whole lot that do, because a lot of times machines monster that will, or at least just monsters in general, they'll have a attack that's different from its defense. Next, I run the 3 Makami. Makami, while 6 or more cards are banished, you can also summon this card without tributing. And if this card is normal special summoned, you can add one monster whose attack equals its own defense from your deck to your hand. And if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can shuffle 6 of your banished cards into the deck. Next, I run the 3 Gizmek Uka. Uka, if a monster is special summoned from the main deck, except during the damage step, you special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal special summon, you can target one face-up monster opponent controls, special summon one monster from your hand whose attack equals its own defense, with the same attribute as that monster. So if they special summon a, let's say, Apollosa, you could just summon the Makami. Next, I run the 3 Gizmic Orochi. This is the OG Gizmek. It was the first ever Gizmek. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, quick effect, you can banish the card. You can banish 8 cards from the top of your deck, special summon it, and then you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down, and then target one face-up monster on the field, destroy it. So it's easy to get out, and they can just destroy your monsters. I also run the 1 Kaku. If a monster in the extra monster zone is special summoned, this card, you can special summon this card from your hand. Or if a monster is in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can target one monster in the extra monster zone, equip that face-up monster to this card. And when this card destroys the opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon one of your monster cards equipped to this card. So basically you can steal it and use it as your own monster. So let's say, for example, they have an access code and you just steal their access code. Definitely there's a lot this card can do, but your opponent has to control a monster in the extra monster zone. I also run the 1 Okami. You could pay 1,500 life points to destroy all monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck. Once per turn, 2 or more monsters special summoned from the extra deck are on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can banish one monster from your opponent's graveyard, then gain life points equal to its attack. Next, I run 3 Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, as well as the 3 Nibiru for my hand traps. And I run a Red Eyes and Dark Magician, because I do run a Dragoon engine in this. Moving on to the spells. I run 3 Sacred Scrolls of the Gizmek Legend. Now the field spell has 2 effects, and the second effect is really cool, although it's pretty hard to get off. The first effect, during your main phase, you can activate the top 2 cards of your deck and add one excavated machine monster whose attack equals its own defense. Also banish the remaining cards face down, which isn't too much of a problem because one of the Gizmeks can actually add back a face down Gizmek to your hand. And adds the additional effect to each time a machine monster whose attack equals its own defense is normal or special summon, place 1 counter on this card. While this card has 10 or more counters, neither player can activate effects of monsters on the field whose attack does not equal their own defense. So this can become pretty powerful if you can get up to high enough counters. Not too likely, but the first effect in of itself is still good enough. Next, I run the 2 Urgent Schedule. Unfortunately, I don't have any copies of Urgent Schedules because they're like $15. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower and 1 level 5 or higher Earth Machine monster from your deck in defense position, but negate their effects. So basically, your target should be the Uka and the Tanigaku. And if this set card is sent from the field to the field, you can add 1 level 10 machine monster from your deck to your hand, which we don't really run any. I know in like one build I saw it, they're running like Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon, but I don't know, it's just doesn't really do enough in my opinion. Next, I run the 3 Pot of Prosperity. The extra deck is, for the most part, doesn't really matter too much because the main cards, your main boss monster are the Gizmeks. You'll probably use Dragoon. Yeah, you most likely will use Dragoon. But aside from that, the rest of the cards are just like good cards that you probably will not use. I also run the 1 Red Ice Fusion because I do run the Dragoon engine. And for the traps, I run 3 Dogmatica Punishment. Once you get a Dragoon out, you don't really need to special summon anymore from your extra deck. You can, but I'd rather just run the punishment and maybe do some from our opponent's turn, kind of mess up their plays a little bit. Moving on to the extra deck, I run the 1 Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget gives you the, it's basically a double summon for machine monsters. I run the 1 Link Rebo, just a really good Link 1. Of course, the Verte Anaconda. I do run IP Masquerena, 1 Phoenix, and 1 Unicorn for a bit of an IP play. I run a Apollosa, as well as an Access Code for the links. Of course, the 1 Dragoon for the fusions. For the XYZ monsters, I run 1 Levier. Levier, once your turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 of your banished level 4 monsters, special summon that target to your field. So you can even get back Tanigaku. I run the 1 Downward Magician. Downward Magician can special summon itself on top of a rank 3 or lower XYZ monster, and you may just use it to get more materials for your Zeus. I also run the 1 Red Ice Flare Metal Dragon, a Hope Harbinger, and a Dingirsu, which are some, in my opinion, the most powerful XYZ monsters for rank 7s and 8. And of course, lastly, the 1 Zeus. So let me know what you think of Gizmek. Do you think it's a good deck? Think it has potential? Do you think it needs more support? Let me know in the comments and I'll send you the next video I make. Bye.